I never know how to start these things.
The line is welcome nerdiness to the Lord.
Yeah. What I'm saying is like I always feel weird being like, do we wave now? Do we start? Well, welcome nerdy knights of the well-rounded table to Bohemian Geek Studies. Hello, where we take extremely dorky dives into our favorite fandoms. I'm queen of those queries and defender of those droids, Sara O'Connor. Welcome.
Hello there. I am Colleen McMillan, Jedi Master and Rebel Scum collaborator.
I am Pirate Jedi, Anders Drew.
And I'm your ambassador to Naboo, Flo Siegel.
We truly run the gambit here in terms of rank, from Padawan to Knight to Master, but no matter that rank that you carry, one thing remains constant. Much to learn we still have.
That's right, and we are back this week with The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2, entitled Chapter 10, The Passenger. This episode was written by Jon Favreau and directed by Peyton Reed. Beware, our transponder is broadcasting a full spoiler warning for this episode, as well as some wild speculation for future. So if you've already watched this week's episode of The Mandalorian, grab your favorite drink from the cantina, snuggle up with Baby Yoda, for crying out loud, somebody feed him.
Yes, please.
Hop into a nice ice cave hot spring and settle in for a quick look at what Favreau and his team have created this week. Sara, you want to start us off with an episode recap?
Yeah, I kind of do, Anders. So after escaping a kidnapping attempt on Tatooine by the most horrible people ever, causing Baby Yoda to go overboard, Mando agrees to transport...
They are officially worse than those stormtroopers.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was real bad. Mando agrees to transport a desperate frog lady and her delicious offspring to Trask so that the egglings can be properly fertilized. Bow chicka wow wow, sexy froggy time.
Her husband is waiting.
He's been waiting so long.
And after escaping 2 New Republic X-Wings and some freaky deaky Kiranok spiders, Mando and the frog lady continue on their journey on a severely damaged Razor Crest that we had seen in the trailer. So let's get straight to our observations. There were a ton of eggs in this episode, but not as many Easter eggs or callbacks this week, but we still have enough to pique our interest. Anders, do you want to get us started with those Easter eggs, connections, and callbacks?
Yes, absolutely. And let's start right up front with Dr. Mandible, that clicky little Ant-Man. We got this human-sized ant in last season's episode, The Gunslinger, and he's apparently not that good at gambling. But his more notable appearance here is probably a reference to the episode's director. Peyton Reed is most recognizable for his MCU work as the director of both Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. We're not really sure what his official species name is, but Wikipedia is calling him Killik, an insectoid species from the Legends Darkness trilogy. The Doctor is playing Sabacc with Peli, which is the most common game and the most common form of gambling in the Star Wars galaxy. It's the game that caused Han Solo to win the Millennium Falcon from Lando.
Nice.
And then we leave the cantina, and Flo, what do we see?
Yeah, so then for some reason we fly straight to Anaheim and we're at Disneyland. Because here we get a glimpse of a Treadwell droid roasting that crate dragon steak from last week, no maggots, on a spit in front of a pod racing engine. And this is a visual reference to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. Shouts to my home park, where almost the exact scene is set up. It's true. You can also get your blue milk there. Excellent stuff.
Very cool.
Speaking of
Sarah, what's going on with Baby Yoda?
Yeah, speaking of snacks, Baby Yoda loves his spheres in snacky time. And just like that little metal ball from the Razor Crest cockpit and the frogs he seems to find everywhere he looks, Baby Yoda just can't help himself when it comes to snacky snacks, constantly stealing some eggs. Stop that, that's murder, in a hilarious running gag throughout the episode, despite Mando's constant don't do that refrain. Maybe shake it up a little bit. That's one time we see him also use the Force too, which I personally, there's some things I don't like about this episode, but that little tiny moment I really did appreciate when he's pulling the eggs towards him in the canister.
Yeah.
Colleen, Why don't you talk about their mama bear or mama frog, as it were?
Mama Frog. Is that a familiar frog lady? I love that they don't give her a name. That's just rude.
No.
But
Yeah.
she is the titular passenger of this episode. She's a new character. And she's a hell of a shot with that blaster, you guys. Really, really good. I was very impressed. She is voiced by none other than D. Bradley Baker, who probably holds the record for most characters ever played on a show ever, I would say. He's
At
known
least
as
200,000,
right?
a million
He's
more, well on the way.
the voice of every single clone trooper in Clone Wars. Every single one. We love him. What do we have coming up next, Anders?
Next, we have May the Force be with you. And
That
also
And
was
with
with you.
you.
That was
Also
like, yeah.
with you.
Absolutely wild to me. So despite not knowing like anything about the Jedi or the Sith,
Yes.
Mando does know enough to talk to say this to the X-Wing pilots and to kind of speak that mantra.
And I
Um,
think it's really, really interesting because we're seeing in these first two episodes, not necessarily a lot about his history or Baby Yoda's history, but that the Mandalorian, at least in season 2, is really an expert with languages, even speaking Huttese. Now, he doesn't exactly have froggies, which is delicious to see, but I digress. Anders, sorry.
Yes. But Peli can speak Froggies, so it's fine. But they really do seem to, Peli finally mentioned the Force, as we mentioned last week, and they seem to be peppering in more of these references directly to the Force, likely gearing us up to finally meet some Force users in this show. When is Ahsoka turning up? Dave Filoni, tell me now.
Mhm. Mhm. And
Colleen?
speaking of series co-creator Dave Filoni, he is here as one of the X-Wing pilots that accosts the Razor Crest. He's reprising his cameo actually from last season as the X-Wing pilot Trapper Wolf,
Man, what
which
a
is kind of a nice callback.
There
Yeah,
we
he
go.
loves wolves. He loves wolves. So of course his last name would be Wolf. The
Mhm.
other pilot is Captain Carson Teva. He's not a director, but Paul Sung-hyung Lee, who you may recognize from the show Kim's Convenience. Paul is an avid Star Wars fan and a cosplayer on the side, so it's great to see him get a role here. I'm sure he's with his agent like, yes, I will take whatever they can give me. But, you know, he could have really done Mando a solid at the end of the episode and helped him fix his frickin' ship. There are babies on board, sir.
That was
I
honestly
mean,
a sketch. They just like
he
pieced
did it.
out.
They didn't see them. Mando kind of was the only person they saw, but if they had seen Baby Yoda, I would hope they would help. But still, like, dude, we're not gonna arrest you,
Wild choice.
so that's fine. Yeah, like why are they flying away? Just leaving him there.
But Flo, why would they be willing to arrest him?
Well, let's talk about it. So most of the callbacks in this episode seem to be to the season 1 episode, The Prisoner, aka my favorite episode.
Love it.
So Filoni's cameo, Richard Ayoade's reprisal as the voice of Zero the droid, and the events referenced by Captain Teva, right? It's Teva.
It's Teva or Tiva.
Yeah.
You didn't hear his
I'm gonna
name
go
on the
with Teva.
episode. Yeah.
Mando breaking out a prisoner, capturing 3 high-value targets in the process, attempting to save the life of a New Republic soldier are events from that amazing episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we got the ship's name too, you guys. It's called the Bothan 5.
Okay.
When I heard that, I was like, oh, are we gonna get some Bothans? That'd be awesome. Whether they're this season or going forward, please show us the lion people. Like, yes, give us the Bothans.
Yes. But that's not the only creature.
Mm.
Sarah, what were these things?
Yeah, so help me with the pronunciation because I think I botched it. Krina
Krikna? The
I think
Krikna?
it's Krikna. Yeah.
Krikna spiders. Wild. Where is Ezra Bridger when we need him? That's all I have to say. And so if the last episode was a fantasy Western homage, this one is definitely a freaking horror movie. The eggs in this
Yes.
chamber are laid out very, very much like the Alien films, with them climbing everywhere. I think kind of like that scene in Lost in Space.
Yes.
I had forgotten about that scene until
Mhm.
I saw it in this doc, and now I'm like mad at you for that.
Hey, that's okay. I got to get some of these,
Okay.
Anders. And the attack of these spiders is enough to make our boy Ron Weasley absolutely panic. These creatures
Mhm.
might look familiar because they bear a striking resemblance, though not officially confirmed if they're the same species as the Krynox spiders that the rebellion encounters on Adelon. And they're the same ones that Ezra, we think maybe, are that Kanan and Ezra have to bond with to help keep Chopper Base safe in Rebels.
Mhm.
There is some Ralph McQuarrie concept art from The Empire Strikes Back that looks a lot like these spiders too.
Mhm.
It's also possible that they're an homage to the Kyrrath
I think
spiders.
it's Kinrath.
Kinrath. Yeah, from the Knights of the Old Republic video games.
But
But
KOTOR, huh? All right.
Either they were spooky and disgusting. So
They were absolutely
Yes.
disgusting.
They were awful. You guys, awful. When that first one hatched, I was like, nope, I'm out. I'm out, guys. I'm out. No.
you could totally sense that it was going to happen. Absolutely sense
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And final little drop, a little bit of the Godzilla motif too from
Yes, I
Mhm.
did think about that too.
yeah. But enough about motifs and Easter eggs and creepy spider eggs. Why don't we get into our other reactions?
All right, yeah, I think I'll start us off here. So
okay.
this was not my favorite episode of this show, but I say that this show has a very, very high floor. I mean, even when it's, in my opinion, not as great, it's still pretty fucking awesome. Like, I'm still sitting there saying, more, give me more, inject it directly into my brain. So even though this isn't one of my favorite episodes, I'd still give it a solid like B+, A-. A lot of that coming from Baby Yoda trying to sneak snacks. I know that they are like living eggs at that point, but it's still just hilarious. He's so adorable and so funny. Also, kid can move now. He is running at this point. And I did really kind of like the horror homage. Like last week was fantasy, this week's horror. I like the idea of them doing some different things, even if it wasn't exactly top tier for me.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll carry that forward with the different motifs of each episode. That would be particularly interesting. But I have to say, if people were upset last week about not moving forward and having like little quests along the side, well, then they might have similar frustrations this episode because there was a lot of nap time in the episode and it wasn't being done by Baby Yoda. But you know what? I also have to say, if it was wrapped up so sweetly and tightly, we'd be watching a movie instead of a series. So this was definitely a filler episode, and I confess that there were still some moments that had me gasping. But I have to say, I'm ready to meet Sabine Wren next episode or else. So we'll see if we get to meet her. And also, last week, Flo had said that Baby Yoda was starting to talk more gibberish, and that was so flipping apparent this episode, communicating with his daddy dearest while dipping his cute little hand into the froggy cookie jar for delicious snacky snacks. Colleen, what did you think?
Ooh, yes. The line, I guess these are just stories for children. Ooh, I was like, damn, that's a hammer line from the Frog Lady to Mando. I enjoyed this episode a lot more on my second watch. First watch, I was kind of like, what the fuck is happening? Second watch, I was like, okay, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm grounded. I really loved the part in the beginning where Din's jetpack fell over. It kind of looked like R2 when in A New Hope he went,
Very much so.
That was perfection. And I loved the callback with the X-Wing pilots again, and that they're actually decent shots. Unlike our horrible, hated scout troopers from last season. Like, well done, Rebellion. It's no wonder that you won. You can actually shoot things. That's really great. I'm getting really concerned, though, about Mando's parenting style. He needs to establish some discipline because it's not okay to eat someone's potential offspring and maybe end their family line. Like, not a great look for our little baby.
I will say parenting is hard.
Yes. And he doesn't have that natural parental energy either. So it's even harder for Din Djarin to do. And little Baby Yoda did have that guilty expression at the end where you could tell that he knew that he fucked up by disturbing the spiders. But then he still freaking chomps on another egg from the freaking canister. It's like, Mando, collect your child. Don't fall asleep while your child is not asleep. Like, what's happening? But otherwise, yeah, I liked it. Wasn't one of my favorites, but still, I would still give it like an 8 out of 10. It was still high up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to go off script for a minute because I've got two things I need to say. First thing I'm going to say is I had this whole plan of like wearing this Boba Fett jacket that I have to this recording Because I was like, obviously we're gonna see him, like it's gonna be great. And then no vet. So I was like, no, I'm not wearing the jacket. I'm saving it. So that's number one. Number two, okay, so once again, I'm just very confused about this episode. I hate that I want to love it so much, and then I'm just left confused. So I understand that like the main quest is to go find Baby Yoda's people. I get that.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure why he needs to go find more Mandalorians to do that. I haven't bought into that. Okay, fine. What are we doing here? Also, why are you sleeping with this frog lady in your cockpit? You don't know her. Why are you sleeping? Don't sleep. What's wrong? Anyways, I'm mad. Okay.
It's a long journey. They have to go sublight. Like you have to sleep at some point. It takes a while.
Maybe drink some coffee. Like maybe put her somewhere else. Why is she in the cockpit?
Yeah, make sure she goes to sleep.
That's where
first.
people sit.
That's the only place.
He has a room. Baby
We're
Yoda
the guest room.
Like set it up. Like
Hull integrity has been compromised. Sorry.
Honestly, whatever. I was just, maybe it's because I'm like a kid who grew up with like 9/11, like very prevalent. I'm like, she's gonna fucking hijack this plane. Like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, whatever. All that put aside, I adored the opening ambush sequence. I thought it was so funny, so charming, so Star Wars. Loved it. I was obsessed with Pelly speaking frog. Totally reminded me of Dory speaking whale, which I found super hilarious. Loved that. Okay. The egg eating was extremely distressing to me.
Yes.
Like I was actually very upset by it, and I'm assuming it's because of IVF and the fact that my personal offspring are in a freezer in a lab, and if someone went in and was just like, I feel like a popsicle, I'm just gonna eat this egg, I'd be like unbelievably devastated.
Yeah.
So, and the
I
poor
can see
frog
that.
lady was like really distraught and like super protective over her eggs, so it wasn't like she had a bunch of eggs and like this was just like one batch. It was like
These are the last.
The last ones.
yeah, what the hell? So honestly, like I'm gonna be straight up. This is gonna be controversial, but I really disliked Baby Yoda in this episode, and I'm to the point.
I understand it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
He was kind of a little dick.
He was a little shit.
He was a
shit.
dick,
Mhm.
and I'm like starting to wonder if he is not on the side of the light.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm starting to get really distressed. Like this was a lot of egg eating, a lot.
Yeah,
think
he was no longer hungry. Of that
he was
we
just
can be
snacking.
sure.
Okay, so it's either like here's my two.
We
thoughts.
never see Mando feed him. It is very possible
Right?
that he has like never eaten before.
Yeah, he stared at the crate dragon steak like it was this last freaking
Right.
meal.
So I'm like wondering he's either evil. Okay, so he's either good and like this was just like a weird thing they thought was cute. Fine, whatever.
It could be nature nurture too. Like
Sure.
Yeah.
Or he's evil. Or he's like going through this Mondo growth spurt and like can't be like
can't stop eating.
he can't stop. He's just like a teenage boy or whatever. He's just like eating everything. Like all the Totino's pizza rolls are going into his mouth. And then
Ooh, I hate
Hollow
pizza
leg.
rolls.
lastly, obviously, I'm a Ron Weasley girl. Why did it have to be spiders? Hard no for me. No.
Yes.
Mm.
I will kind of wrap up this reactions thing. Before we get into predictions, I will wrap this up and say I am prepping a somewhat lengthy statement for our like post episode 4 like mid-season thing on the side quests and my theories around them and
Excellent.
whatnot. So
It reminded me a lot of Skyrim, like the beginning of him carrying all that weight stuff and just all of these different side quests. But I digress.
I know they're heading somewhere with this. Like I know all the side quests would like come together. Like I get that. It just I haven't bought into the main quest, so I'm really struggling with the side quests.
Mhm.
That's all.
all right. So looking ahead to next week though, since we did get this side quest, we know that next week we are almost definitely going to get to Trask. They really can't afford any more delays. The ship is on its last legs.
Yeah.
So assuming Trask is that water planet from the trailer, not Moncala like we had thought, I would just carry my predictions from last week through and say, same thing. We're going to the water planet. We're going to probably meet or at least get a decent tease of Sasha Banks's character. Colleen, any other predictions for you from this one?
Yes, I think Pelly also mentioned that moon, the estuary moon, you can't just say water moon, you have to say estuary moon, is in the same system as the gas giant. I think it's Col Ibn or Col Ibn. And I think that's the big gas giant planet we saw in the trailer, where the poor Razor Crest with its ramp open and its engine sputtering was passing. So I think we're definitely heading there next episode.
And for me next week, like I literally just need this frog lady to get her eggs fertilized for my own mental health, honestly. Like I
Yes.
need it to be done.
Yes. Well, that's
Yep.
I think that's them in the trailer too, because there's like a taller frog person
man.
next to the short one with the egg canister that are right in front of Mando on that kind of water planet. It's like,
Yo, if
There
I
we
were
go.
if I were her, I would absolutely, like, the second I landed and saw my husband, I would be like handing the pack of eggs over, being like, "Yo, I got these here. Now it's your turn."
Seriously.
Mhm.
Do
Yeah,
your
I need
frog.
a drink now.
I think leaving it at frog sex fertilization is probably the best place that we could possibly end it. So thank you so very much for being with us, and come back next week when we continue exploring the Mandalorian and other geeky goodies. Remember that you can enjoy us in our podcast form, in our YouTube form, and either way, smash that subscribe button. Check out our website at bohemiangeekstudies.com, where you can watch all of our episodes, enjoy Colleen's book corner where she's reviewing Star Wars literature, and contact us through email and social media. And as always, keep telling other nerdy knights to join us, because it really does help. Until next time, as always, sabers up and keep those episodes streaming.
Cheers, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.